These are the top 5 best-selling books, and yeah, I read them all in under 12 hours. There are a few books that could be argued to have sold more than the ones on this list, but because their exact figures of how much they sold aren't kept track of as well, I won't be including them. I also won't be including the Bible or those kinds of texts. I'm gonna read these in reverse order as well, so we're starting off with the 5th best-selling book, The Dream of the Red Chamber by So Shua-chin. Review time, 3.5 out of 5. I like the general atmosphere and the idea of the story and the connections between the characters, and I really liked the names. I thought they were pretty cool. The bits of poetry were also really nice, but it did feel like it struggled with the amount of characters it had to balance, and at some points the story dragged. I do think that on a second reading I might like it more since I have a better idea of what it's about, and then I can pay more attention to the details. So the 4th best-selling book is And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. This book I actually bought because I guess it's so popular that every library has their copy borrowed. I do like Christie in general though, which if you saw another video of mine you would know, so I was really hopeful for this book since it is known as one of her best. Review time, 4.5 out of 5. I really like the suspense in it and the reflection that a lot of the characters did on their deeds. I do think my expectations were too high for it though, and the unpredictability of the mystery was what made it good, but also what made it bad because it was just too hard to figure out. The 3rd best-selling book is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone by J.K. Rowling. Of course, this isn't the first time I'm reading this book, but it has been quite a while since I read it. It's actually the only one on the list that I have read before, but as I read it, I realized it's been much longer than I thought, since there were definitely a few things that I forgot happened. Review time, 4 out of 5. It's a good book. I mean, it's Harry Potter, but since I'm out of the target audience, it's not a 5 for me the way it might be for a kid. At times it does feel like it's fast-paced and kind of like and this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and it's just kind of like that. But I really did like the attention to detail. A lot of the small things that were mentioned I remembered are important for the rest of the series, so that was pretty cool. Number 2 on our list is The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. And I'm reading the English version of this book. Anyways, this is the first time that I'm reading it, even though I've heard of it before, of course, and I've wanted to read it for a while. Review time, 5 out of 5. It was so different from what I expected. Like, it didn't feel like a normal kid's book at all, and I mean that in a good way. I really loved it, and I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna read the French version in the future, so definitely stay tuned for that. I just really like this book. I think it's definitely worth a read, especially since it's short and you can just do it pretty quick. So, the best-selling book of all time, at least the best-selling with the best recorded numbers and a book that isn't the Bible or like that kind of text, is A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. I actually had not read this book before, but I really did love A Christmas Carol, so I was excited to read it. Review time, 3.5 out of 5. Not my favorite. I really did like book 3, like the last part, but the beginning was pretty slow for me. I did love how it gave a better insight into the Reign of Terror at the time though, but it's just not the kind of book that I generally like. But I am happy I read it since it is number 1 on this list. So I did it, all of the 5 best-selling books in one day in under 12 hours. It was pretty hard at times, especially since my neck did get uncomfortable, and like you saw, I had to eat lunch while reading, but I'm so glad that I pushed myself to do it. I did not expect The Little Prince to be my favorite of them all, so that was definitely a cool surprise for me. Anyways, I hope that you guys are inspired to try and do things that seem pretty impossible, and hope that you're inspired to read more. I'll see you in the next one.